Hi everyone. Welcome back to the Spring Garden series. We're here again at Joel's house, and today we're going to set up containers so they're all ready for planting vegetables in a few weeks. And we're also going to show Joel how to install drip irrigation in containers. A lot of questions about that, so it's going to be a great video.
Yeah, what's really neat here in this series is that everyone is just loving on Joel and giving him some great comments and support. It's fabulous. We love to see that. He's a great guy and he's doing a good job. But he had some problems this week, so make sure you stick around for that. And we also have lots of surprises here for Joel as well, and some new, well, I won't even tell you.
Oh man, it's gonna be fun.
All right, let's go.
Hey Joel, how's it going today?
Excellent, thank you.
Good, excited to film another video with you.
Yep, I am too.
We're gonna have a good time today. Got some surprises in store for you.
That's what I hear.
Yeah. So you sent me a text this week saying you had a couple issues with your plants. They're growing and coming along great, but what were the symptoms that you were experiencing here on your plants?
Well, the first one I noticed was this little pod right here. This little baby is, it was failing to grow. It looked like it was actually dying.
Oh, okay.
So I kept it moist, but what I did was I turned the light towards it more and definitely focused on this side. So it helped it out. Obviously, as you can see, it's starting to come back. So
that's great. You're troubleshooting and it looks like it's working. It's a little kale there and it looks pretty good.
Yeah, it's starting to really flourish. It was laying down on its side. I thought it was going to go belly up, but it didn't. So, okay, then the second one was where I had an issue with this plant here. You can see the leaves are starting to kind of dry out and turn brown, a little yellow. I don't know, maybe I overwatered them. I don't think I did, but I could have. But anyways, I turned we talked and you told me to take that pad out, the heating pad.
The heat mat?
Cool it down a little bit. So that's what I did.
Okay.
So it seems everything still seems coming up though.
Oh, everything looks really good.
Yeah.
And yeah, we did have some really hot days this week. We had days in the 80s. So it was a little bit crazy hot for this time of the year. So I think what happened is they just got a little bit overheated. Now, typically the little baby leaves that we talked about last week will eventually drop off. But I think it did get a little overheated. You did a perfect job by turning off the heat mat, cooling it down a little bit, made the adjustment, and they're looking great.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I didn't think about that. Like baby teeth, you lose them. Little kids lose them. So.
Exactly.
Yeah, all right.
But great job. These are looking great. I love how your tomatoes are growing. They've got a couple sets of true leaves, so the watering and fertilizing tips we talked about last week really helped.
Yeah, definitely.
And they are definitely taking off.
Yep. I fertilized them once yesterday.
Oh, good. A week later.
About a week later, yeah.
Perfect. So if you haven't joined us yet on the Spring Garden series, jump right in, go back and watch the first few videos, catch up, and you can grab my book and the Spring Garden Seed Collection, 12 varieties of delicious spring vegetables. And we are on a roll today. We've got some surprises in store, so let's go check it out.
All right, great, thanks.
So Joel, in another month or so, your little baby seedlings are going to be ready to plant outside. And today we are going to get some containers set up so you're all ready to roll as soon as they are ready. And we're going to install some drip irrigation containers.
Sounds good.
I am so excited to show you what we have for you today. I have been like chomping at the bit all week to do the big reveal. We brought you some fun stuff. You're going to be all set up to container garden back here.
Okay.
You ready for this?
Ready.
Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3.
Whoa.
Whoa!
All right.
Oh my goodness, these fell over, but let me tell you a little bit about what these are, Joel. We actually teamed up with Smart Pots for this video. We're partnering with them on that. And we have something here that is a brand new product of theirs and actually isn't even available till 2021. Wow. And we are the first ones to have it here on our video. So I'm super excited. These are Smart Pots and these are fabric containers, brand new colors is what's new about it. These are 15 gallons. This is a beautiful berry blue color, which is going to be a nice bright color pop for your garden here. So I'm so excited for you to grow in these. And this is also a brand new color, a 15 gallon called the violet color. And this here is the mandarin orange.
Cool.
So these colors are new for the 15 gallons and they're going to be a lot of fun out here against your fence.
Yeah, I like the bright colors.
I love the colors.
I love colors.
Oh good, I'm so excited about them too.
Thank you very much.
You are welcome, and thanks to Smart Pots. They supplied all the containers here for you.
Thank you very much.
And this is such a cool container. It's called a Big Bag Long. It's an 8-foot long raised bed.
Whoa.
And we can put it right out here. You're going to be able to fill this with a ton of vegetables. It has over 10 square feet of growing space.
Wow.
So this is a great container. And these containers are fabric. So feel that fabric there?
Right.
They have really good drainage. They're nice and porous. The roots don't get root bound in them like they do in a hard-sided container. And you're gonna grow some beautiful vegetables in
Very
these.
sturdy.
Very sturdy. They last like 5 to 8 years.
Wow.
You can throw them in the washer to clean them up. So these are gonna be great.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Now
Thank you.
Oh, you are so welcome. I'm so excited for you. And we also brought some soil. Good Dirt was really generous and supplied the soil for the containers. And we'll talk more about that as we fill the containers.
Okay.
And then as my thank you to you, a raised bed drip watering kit.
Cool.
My thank you to you for being part of our video series. So we're gonna get you all set up with drip irrigation.
Thank you.
And also a timer here so you can set it and forget it.
As you get older, you know, forgetting is no problem.
That's right. Now, Joel, let's talk just a little bit about where we're going to put your beautiful new smart pots.
Okay.
Now, ideally, you want a spot with full sun and ideally close to a water source if that's possible.
Okay, I have the perfect spot. Right here, in between these two plants, we got plenty of room. I have water over here.
Oh, perfect.
So, yep.
Okay,
So
cool.
we're styling.
Let's unfurl that big bag and
All
check
right.
it out. Make sure it's going to fit the spot. Now, containers are great to grow in because you can just pop them up and you have an instant garden, and that's what I love about the smart pots. We are going to build a wooden raised bed for Joel in a couple of weeks. We're going to build it together, but for now, this is great. Great way to expand your growing space or grow in a small space. If you don't have a lot of room, you've got a good amount of space back here, and this looks like it's going to be a perfect fit.
Oh, wow, look at that. Oh, it's like separator in there.
Yeah, it's got little dividers in it to help it stand up. Once it's filled with soil, there won't be any problems getting it to stand up.
Okay.
And I'm envisioning maybe some tomatoes, some peppers, maybe even some of that kale that we just looked at.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
We can always move these around. That's one great thing about the smaller ones is they're portable.
Exactly.
So you can even move it up onto your deck if you want to eventually, or around to different spots of your yard, wherever you'd like a beautiful color pop.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to kind of partial to this mandarin orange color.
Yeah, I like that. I always
This is
like
so
burnt
pretty.
orange and stuff, yeah. Really nice.
Okay, perfect. Now the next step is we're going to get these babies filled with soil before we install the drip irrigation.
Okay.
Now by far the biggest investment you're going to make when you plant a garden, especially with containers, is the soil. You don't want to skimp on the soil. You want to get the best soil that you can afford.
That's right.
So for potting mix, you can go ahead and purchase soil in bulk, like from a landscape center, but we were blessed enough to have Good Dirt supply all this beautiful potting mix, and this is definitely the best potting mix on the market. I've used it in my garden for about 4 years, and this is an amazing investment because you can plant in it time after time. It does not get compacted.
Right.
It has plant food in it, great nutrition for your plants, and it has something called bog bits, which help your roots get air and really help your plants grow and be productive. It is absolutely beautiful soil. So thanks so much, Good Dirt, for supplying the soil.
Yeah, thank
now,
you.
when you're supplying or when you're putting potting mix in containers, you want to pre-moisten it, just like we did with our little seed starts.
Right.
So we're going to go ahead and pour in this beautiful Good Dirt into your 8-foot smart pots, and add some water and mix it up until it's a nice moist consistency. The soil looks absolutely amazing, doesn't it, Joel?
Yes.
It's beautiful.
Very light.
It is. It's very light and fluffy. It's actually made from peat moss, which is harvested in a sustainable way, completely organic soil. You got to get your hands in this, Joel. Doesn't this feel amazing?
Yes.
It's just beautiful soil.
Yeah, you can smell it.
Joel, let's get this section filled up here. And you can see how nice this smart pot stands up once you get a little bit of soil in it.
Right. Ready?
Ready.
There's all that goodness.
All that good dirt.
You know, I didn't know peat moss was really that important. I had no idea.
Yeah, it really gives it some good aeration, which your plants need. Soil needs to have lots of oxygen in it so the plants and the roots grow nice and strong.
Right.
Remember how we pre-moistened the soil when we planted your seeds?
Yes, I do.
We're doing the exact same thing here in setting up your containers for planting, getting them all ready for the plants by pre-moistening the soil. We want it moist, not waterlogged. We're going to mix the water in as we do it. It will be ready to go when your plants are big enough.
Okay.
So here we go.
I'm ready.
You stir, I'm going to add the water. Just let you mix it up there, work the water in, and we're going to keep on doing this till we got about the consistency of a crumbly brownie mix. Same thing we did when we were doing the seedlings. So we want it just moist, but not waterlogged. That's looking pretty good, actually.
Right. Doesn't take too long.
Doesn't take too long.
You gotta make sure you get the bottom mixed up.
That's right. You don't want any dry spots.
Right. Oops. Wow.
Mixes in pretty quickly, doesn't it?
Well, it does, but I accidentally poked the side of this thing. Kind of hard, and no holes or anything. So.
Yeah, this fabric is very, very durable.
Yeah.
In fact, I throw mine in the washer when I'm done planting in one of the smaller containers. I don't think this one would fit in the washer, but it cleans them right up after one season.
Oh wow, look at this. Okay.
So you might want to just grab a handful of soil and see if it kind of holds together when you make a fist. So yeah, that's beautiful. You don't want any big drops of water falling out, but that's nice and moist, and it looks
right. And it's still
really
expanded.
Good.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, still good.
Beautiful.
Excellent.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and do this to the rest of the container.
Okay.
And then we'll work on the drip irrigation. We've got the big bag long all set up with this beautiful soil.
Yep.
And it held about 14 cubic foot of soil. It looks absolutely beautiful. Good work here.
Thank you very much.
Nice job. This looks absolutely beautiful. The Smart Pot's 8 foot here. How do you like it?
I like it a lot. I do. I like the. It's not too wide, plenty deep. It gives the roots a lot of room, and it's long enough. I can get a lot of plants in here. I don't have to put it right up against my fence because I have a great tree over here that I want to put a trellis up. And I just think it's a great idea. I love these things.
Good. It fits the space perfectly.
Yes, perfect. In between my two plants here, I'm going to put a tree right here where camera guy's foot is.
Beautiful.
So it'll be great.
Let's get the colored Smart Pots filled up.
Okay.
Now these will be available to our viewers in the spring of 2021. So I know everyone's going to be very excited about that. So Joel, you are the first one to get the colored Smart Pots.
And I am so proud. I really am. I love these things.
I'm stoked for you. So let's grab some soil,
okay.
grab some good dirt,
right.
and fill her up.
I'll do the hard work if you want to hold the...
Okay, yep, let me hold the pot here. Once you get the soil in there, it stands up beautifully on its own. Let's go for the berry blue now. I'm getting hungry just talking about these colors. These are beautiful, nice, bright shades. I'm always a sucker for a bright color in the garden.
Yeah, that would be cool if we could to plant like a blueberry bush or something in the blue one. And
this one over here is called Violet.
every little bit out of there.
Get all that good dirt we possibly can.
Don't want to miss any of that. Kim, I had to ask you, an existing plants and pots, when you need to re-add, to refill the soil,
Yes.
to top it off, is this stuff really good to use, or?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yes. You could add a couple of inches to your existing pots to kind of refresh your soil and kind of get in there and mix it in with your hands. And it would add some good nutrients and also a lot of good aeration to your soil.
Okay.
Now, one thing I love about good dirt is you can plant in it season after season. So it's a really good investment. I've had some of the soil in my container, some of the good dirt soil, for 4 years, and that's exactly what I do. Add a few inches of new, fresh, good dirt on top, and it adds some good nutrients, and your plants will just keep on growing in it. So let's go ahead and add some water here, and we will just do the same thing with these beautiful colored Smart Pots. These smaller 15-gallon ones are really handy because they're super portable. So you know how hot it gets here? You can easily move these into the shade just to shade your plants a little bit from the hot sun. And because the fabric is aerated and breathable, it helps keep your plants cooler when it gets hot out.
Right. It beats having to build the shade barriers and stuff.
Right.
With the cloth.
One thing I love about Smart Pots too, Joel, is they are completely made in the USA.
Good.
Which is great these days. No matter what container you use for your garden, you need to make sure it has good drainage, which Smart Pots definitely do because the fabric is aerated.
Good.
The roots get plenty of air and drainage. Well, looks like we're all set with the colored Smart Pots.
Yep.
Now you want to move them back a little bit because I think you were going to plant a tree there, right?
Yeah, exactly. So
Okay,
I like to move
cool.
it back over here.
All right.
Holy cow, look at that. You were right. These are, look at this. Old guy, bad back, 2 bad knees. I moved these pots, no problem. These are excellent, Kim. Excellent.
Perfect. The key to a productive garden is consistent watering. Yes. And you're really fortunate here, Joel, because we're so close to a hose bib, and this is exactly where we're going to install the drip irrigation.
Right.
Now, I am such a huge fan of drip irrigation because we all get busy, we all forget to water our gardens, and you can definitely hand water, But there's a beauty in installing a system that will automatically water your containers for you. You're going to have much more of a productive garden getting drip irrigation installed on a timer.
Right, excellent.
Now, something important for containers though, you want to have a separate drip irrigation system for your containers as opposed to your in-ground garden beds or your raised beds, because containers need watering more often, especially here in the hot weather. And we get no rain here in California. If you live in an area where you get a lot of rain, you might not necessarily need drip irrigation, but we can go for 6 or 8 months without water.
Yeah.
And without consistent watering, your plants are going to die.
That's right, that's right.
So we're going to go ahead and install a drip irrigation kit today. Now, one way that's a super easy way to get started is by installing this kit. Everything is in here, the hosing, the supply line, everything that we'll put in that will go from this hose bib all the way over to our raised bed.
Okay.
Now, in case people aren't familiar with drip irrigation, basically what it is, it's a series of hoses and drip emitters that take the water right from a water source and bring it over to your containers. Little drip emitters feed your plants. Water drips slowly down right at the roots where your plants need it the most. This timer has 2 zones, so we can run one to your containers and one eventually will run to your raised bed.
Okay.
We can still run your hose bib at the same time. So we're going to get it installed, show people exactly what to do, because it's probably one of the questions I get the most is how do you install drip irrigation in containers?
Right.
Okay, Joel, here we go. Let's open up your drip kit and we'll pull out the parts and we're going to get this baby installed.
All right.
We got a lot of things in here.
Yep. There's it.
Okay.
Yep.
Got your main supply line, your drip emitters, and all the little tiny parts that we need to connect everything up.
Right on.
Okay, Joel, the first thing we're going to do is lay out our 1/2-inch poly tubing. This is our supply line.
Okay.
We're going to lay that out in the sun to kind of soften it up.
Right.
That way we can work with it a little bit easier. So we're just going to unroll it here, Joel, along the fence, and we'll hold it in place with some landscape staples.
Great.
The sun will soften it up.
So what's next, Kim?
Okay, we're going to cut that bag open with all the little tiny parts
All
and
right.
pour them in this tin so we don't lose any of them.
Oh, look at that. Something to read.
All the directions.
I wouldn't know what those are.
So the parts we need to do the install at the hose bib are a pressure regulator, give that to you,
Yep.
and a swivel adapter.
Okay.
When you're installing drip irrigation, there's 2 different options. You can either connect it up with your sprinkler system, or you can connect it to a hose bib, which is what we're going to do today.
Okay.
So first off, we're going to install this splitter. Now what this does, it allows you to still have your hose connected on one part of the splitter, and your drip irrigation system will be connected on the other part of the splitter.
Okay.
So it's a 2-way splitter here. We're going to hook right up to your hose bib.
Okay.
So if you can go ahead and unscrew your hose.
Good.
Make sure I don't get squirted with water there.
There we go.
And I'll let you do that. Do the honors there.
Okay. Go. Make it a little tighter. There we go.
Beautiful. And then first things first, we're going to hook up a timer.
Okay.
Because again, the timer is the key to
That's
this.
a direct connect.
Set it and forget it.
Okay.
And if you notice here, let's actually show our viewers, it has 2 different zones. So one will go to our containers and one will feed to the raised beds that we're going to install with you in a
Okay.
couple of weeks.
I also noticed it has a screen on there to catch any solid material.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
I did already set the time for you here,
Thank you.
and then we'll set the how long we want it to drip onto your containers in just a little bit. So we've got our timer installed. The next step is to install a screen filter. Now this inside has a handy little filter in here, so it'll filter out any sediment that might make it through here.
Right.
That way it's not clogging up your system.
Right.
And this, by the way, is not included in the kit. It is a separate purchase, but I feel like it is a very important one.
Yeah, it is.
So your system doesn't get clogged up.
Right.
And the beauty of this is it just all screws right on together, and it is so easy to install.
Just hand tight.
Hand
That's
tighten
good.
it. Yep, perfectly. Now the next thing we're going to install is a pressure regulator. Now this is a 25 psi or pounds per square inch pressure regulator. So it brings the pressure of your water down so it drips nice and slowly out those drip emitters. It doesn't come shooting out.
Right.
So we'll install that at the end of your screen filter here. And that's included in the kit. Beautiful. Then we have one more thing to install before we install the hose, and that is called a swivel adapter.
Right.
So you can see it's a compression fitting on the end there.
Right.
That's where we're gonna put the drip irrigation hose. But we've gotta, make the adapter from the regular fitting here to a compression fitting. And that will allow an easy install of the drip hose.
Perfect.
Now, Joel, this is a battery operated timer, so you don't need to worry about having electricity down here or anything like that.
Right.
There are also solar timers available. So choose whichever one you like, whichever one fits into your budget. And I do have links in the video description for all of the parts here so that you don't get confused when you go to purchase them.
Right.
Next step, Joel, is to connect our 1/2-inch tubing that we set out there in the sun.
Okay.
Bring it over and connect it right here on the end.
Okie dokie.
Let's go grab it. It's been sitting out for about 5 minutes, so it should be a lot easier to work with now.
Okay.
And this tubing does not have any drip emitters in it. This is going to be our supply line. So it's going to bring the water from the hose bib over to the container. This is called a compression fitting. And the beauty of this is it just wiggles right in here and stays nice and tight. Now, a little hint is to heat up the hose before we wiggle it in there. So I'm just going to heat up the end. Then you're going to put it right in there. And then, you just can wiggle it back and forth. It'll be a nice tight fit that's not going to leak. So we're going to run our 1/2-inch tubing supply line, water supply line, back to your fence and then over to the container.
Okay.
But in order to do that, see how it comes down to the ground?
Right.
And we've got to install a little elbow compression fitting here so the pipe doesn't kink. So we're going to go ahead and cut the pipe here and install the elbow fitting.
Okay.
We're going to heat the hose up again so you can put the elbow compression fitting on. It's probably a good thing it's kind of hard to fit on. That way we know it's a tight fit and it's not going to leak. Okay, it just softens it up a little bit.
I think I got it.
Perfect. Oh, that's a perfect length too.
Yep.
And then I'm going to go ahead and secure it into place with a landscape staple.
Perfecto.
Okay, we'll run it back to the fence there, just pounding in staples every foot or so. And we can always cover this up with mulch or something so that you don't trip over it.
Right.
So we've run it from the timer all the way down here along the fence. Wherever there is a little turn, we need to put an elbow because otherwise the hose is going to kink up and the water won't get through. So at this point, we're going to turn the pipe to go right into our container. So we'll heat that up again, put another elbow on.
Okay.
So now, Joel, what we're doing is we're bringing the supply line into our container, and here we're going to have to make another turn. So we're going to cut that and put an elbow fitting in. And you can use a sharp pair of scissors. I just picked up these handy dandy little cutters at Home Depot. So just use something that's sharp and will give you a clean cut.
Forth,
There you go. Yep, little wiggle back and forth.
Okay. Now we're going into here.
We'll get our staples in. And then you can see here, another elbow cut right there. And we'll have our supply line into our container. Yep, that's good. So now let's grab our supply line and we're going to lay a length of it right across the length of the container, or the width of the container.
Okay.
Now what we're going to do is cut our line here at the end. We cut a little bit extra, and I'll show you why in just a second. Because we're going to put on one of these figure eights to cap off the line. Then we'll put a staple in there to hold this in place. Sometimes until it softens up, you might have to sit like a heavy rock on it or something, just to hold it all in place for a while. And then we're going to attach our drip emitter tubing here to our supply line. Now again, Joel is fortunate because your hose bib here, Joel, is in close proximity to your containers. So all we had to do was run our supply line right here from the timer and all the connectors here. We ran it straight back to your fence. So keep in mind, everyone's garden space will be a little bit different depending on where your water source is. Ran it all the way back to his fence here, back along the fence for just a little bit, and then went straight over into his containers. So make adjustments according to your space. Joel, now what we're gonna do is hook up the 1/4-inch tubing, which also came in the kit. Now this tubing is really cool if you wanna go ahead and unwrap that there. It has built-in drip emitters every 9 inches. So they're already built in. You don't have to worry about poking holes in there, putting the little drip emitters in. It makes it so easy to get this installed. So those little tiny drip emitters are gonna slowly drip water at the base of your plant, so it's gonna be perfect. So first what we're gonna do is hook one end of the double barbed connector to the 1/4-inch poly tubing that you're holding there in your hand.
Okay.
And again, it's easier if you soften it up there with the lighter. Don't need too much because this tubing is a lot thinner, so it's a lot easier to work with than the 1/2-inch tubing. Just hook it in there with a little wiggling action so it's nice and tight. And these little double barbed connectors have holes on either end to allow for the water flow.
There we go.
And then we're going to put that end here to our supply line. Remember, this is where our water is coming from our hose bib.
Okay.
So I'm going to poke a hole here in the supply line with this little tool that comes in the kit. I'm going to put some muscle into it. So you hear a nice little snap. That means the hole has gone through.
Okay.
And if you want to hand me that lighter there, I'm going to soften this hole up so that the barb connector will slide right in. I'm going to have you snap that into place, and you will hear a little snap.
Looks just like that.
There you go. And now what we're going to do is wind this throughout our container. And the kit actually does come with little staples that you can put in the soil, but I really like the landscape staples better. I just think they last longer and they hold your tubing in really well. So what we're going to do is run it a few inches from the edge here to start with, all the way down to the end, and then just kind of snake our way. And then just kind of snake our way back and forth throughout the container here.
Okay.
So easy to install, isn't it?
Yes.
Love it.
Kim, I noticed that the drip line itself has got pre-cut holes, pre-punched holes.
Yes.
I would imagine you want to stay away from those holes with your clips.
That would be a good idea, just to make sure you don't impede the water flow there.
Exactly. Okay.
All right, so we've got one line all the way down along the edge. Now we're going to run another one down the middle.
Okay.
And that way we make sure we have adequate water coverage throughout the container.
Okay.
Okay, and then we'll do one more pass down the other side. We've got our drip emitter line snaking through our container in 3 different lines. So you really just have to adjust to the size of your container.
Right.
But I like to keep the water lines about 4 to 6 inches apart to make sure we have adequate water coverage here. So now we're going to cut the end of the drip emitter hose here to fit the container. And we're going to install a little goof plug, which comes in the kit, which is going to cap off the line. And this is really easy to wiggle in. We may not even need to heat that one up. Perfect. And probably one more staple at the end and we are good to go. Beautiful. Because we're actually going to connect a couple different containers, we actually didn't need to put this goof plug on, but if you're closing off your container and you're not going to connect them, then you'll need to have the goof plug on the end to cap it off. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that off. And then what we're going to do is hook another supply line. This is a 1/4-inch poly tubing with no drip emitters, and that will just serve to connect container to container. So for that, Joel, we're going to need another one of those barbed connectors if you want to grab one out of there. And we'll connect our drip emitter tubing to our little supply line here. That will take the water from this container to this mandarin orange container.
Okay. Oops.
Okay, and we'll secure it into place. Run our 1/4-inch supply line over to our mandarin orange smart pots. Now we're heating up our 1/4-inch supply line so we can hook it into our mandarin orange container. And here we've got another drip emitter 1/4-inch line, which will hook up to our supply line. Okay, we'll do the same process. Since this is circular, we're going to wind it around in a circle. Once these lines soften up and get settled in the pot, they stay in place a lot easier. but they do kind of tend to pop out of place when you're doing the install. Okay, one more here. Joel, we're just going to pretty much repeat the same process to connect the other 2 containers.
All right.
So supply line and then drip emitter lines in the container, and we will be done. Okay, feeding it over to this beautiful berry blue smart pots, and we'll just repeat the process 2 more times for berry blue and for the violet smart pots. Last little thing into place here.
All right, I'm gonna heat it up. There we go.
Nice job. Done like a boss.
Cool, good job.
Joel, moment of truth. We're gonna turn it on, fire this baby up.
Let's go.
You get to do the honors here.
Make it rock.
Rocking and rolling.
Okay, there we go. Hit manual. That'll run for about 10 minutes, right? Just on its own.
Yes.
Just to get everything charged up. Checking for leaks.
Ooh, that's a good sound.
Yep, timer kicked on.
We have got water, Joel.
Yep.
You are all set up, automated, ready to grow yourself some beautiful vegetables.
Everything was good.
This is beautiful.
And there was about a 10-second delay from the time you turned it on and pushed manual. Just give it a little chance.
Yeah.
Everything's dripping. Everything's good.
Beautiful. We got it. It's all connected.
Now, how long does it run?
Well, you can set the timer to run for however long you want to, and depending on the temperature outside, when it's really hot out, we want to set the dripper to run a lot more frequently. So we can kind of adjust that and play with that as we plant your vegetables.
Right.
We'll go into more detail about that.
Okay.
Joel, thank you so much for letting us invade your garden space for the day.
No problem.
You did an amazing job.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Well, let us know in the comments below if you're jumping in on the Spring Garden series. And remember, everything is written down for you here in my book, Organic Gardening for Everyone. Got a special chapter just on drip irrigation, on watering and drip irrigation. All the pictures here for you in case you forget or don't want to go back and watch the video again. And also grab one of my Spring Garden seed collection kits. And I've paired these together on my website. You get $5 off when purchased together. Jump right in and grow some delicious, healthy vegetables with us. And look, we can even bring the book out in the garden so you have it for reference. We're going to be back in your garden in 2 more weeks. We have a lot more episodes to come. We're going to talk about how to know where to place your garden, the best place in your yard. We're also going to build you a beautiful wooden raised bed. And of course, we've got to talk about how to transition the plants from indoors to outdoors and then get them planted. So we have several more videos to come.
Good. Okay, that'd be great.
So go back and watch all the videos in the series so you know exactly what to do. And remember, we have all the links in the video description. And I also want to thank Smart Pots for partnering with us on this episode, for supplying the containers. And thank you so much, Good Dirt, for supplying the soil. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you on the next video.
Thank you. Bye-bye.